Prices and the Doobie Brothers here on WHDL Wednesday edition of Middays with Mark. You're listening to 102.3 WHDL in Whitehall, Wisconsin. And if it's 11 o'clock Wednesday, that means it's time for Open House with our friends from Hansen Real Estate Group.
It's time for the Open House on WHTL.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent?
You're joking, right? I don't joke about real estate.
With the Hansen Real Estate Group.
I never understood why people are so afraid to eat at an open house.
I know.
The Open House starts right now.
Every Wednesday here on WHDL, and this morning I'm joined by Josh Baecker from Hansen Real Estate Group. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. It's starting to warm up.
Finally.
You know, I always figure and always say if you can make it through January, it's all downhill from there.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully.
Well,
we can still get a lot of cold weather and a lot of snow, but usually that 20, 30 below stuff is pretty much in the rearview mirror now, we hope.
Yep. We got 6 more weeks, though.
Yeah, well, that's what that rodent said. So, if you believe rodents. What somebody pointed out, though, even 6 weeks takes you up before the official start of spring. So either way, you're going to have another 6 weeks of winter.
That's true.
So,
and he's got a 50-50 shot. It's, right up there. That's probably better odds than the meteorologists have.
Yep.
So
I always put my faith in a rodent. So there you go. But hey, you want to talk about the relationship with realtors today. That's an important part of the process I don't think a lot of people think about.
Yeah, and I'm just seeing this more and more. And obviously, there's really no way for buyers to know how it works, working realtor to realtor. So I just wanted to cover some things so the listeners out there can kind of have an idea just how everything works. Because as realtors, there's certain rules that we need to abide by and laws as well. So it's not like the Wild West out there where everyone's out for themselves and you can do whatever you want. We take ethics courses and we have to abide by certain rules. So.
And, it's like any other service business. I think a big part of it is the personal relationship that you develop, the trust that you develop with a realtor.
Yep, exactly.
So when buyers are looking to hook up with a realtor, what should they do? What are some of the things they should concentrate on?
So obviously we've talked before on the first thing you should do is, talk to your lender and get pre-approved. But when you actually come to start looking at houses, if you have a realtor in mind off the bat, obviously you would contact them and look at all your houses with them. Let's say you don't know a realtor and you start looking on realtor.com and you see a house here you like, you see a house there you like, and you start clicking on them. And a lot of times I do want to tell the listeners out there, when you're on Realtor and Zillow and all these websites, you'll see agents pop up. You're looking at a house in Whitehall, and you'll see an agent down in the corner off to the side or a couple agents. A lot of those are sponsors, so a lot of times they're not the listing agent. You got to scroll down if you want the listing agent. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, you could choose whatever realtor you want to show you the house.
So and they may not even be in your area.
Yeah, they just pay for sponsorships, especially on Zillow. There's a lot of them, so that their picture pops up first. So you contact them, and then they can help you. It's just business. That's how it works.
Probably smart, and I would think that if you're looking to either sell or buy a property, you'd be smart to use somebody that's locally based that knows the market.
Yep, that's always the best because the rules are the same everywhere, but it's just different. We have newer homes around here, and we have a lot of older homes around here. So it's just there are different aspects of everything, and just knowing the different things from city to city, and there's just country properties, rural properties to city properties. We talk septic systems and wells before versus city water and sewer. So
one thing I've noticed with sites like Zillow, Zillow's a great place to go look at pictures of a property maybe.
Yep.
But oftentimes the information isn't up to date, and sometimes the property's not even available anymore.
Yeah, and that's why if you ever hear us talk about the online stuff, we always suggest realtor.com because Zillow, it has a lot of listings, but they're not very good at taking listings off. So like you said, you can see properties that have sold 4 years ago and they're still on there. Because if you keep scrolling, it'll just keep popping up properties.
Sure.
So.
All right. So so you found a realtor that you trust and somebody you want to work with, and they're going to help you buy a property. What if you're a seller and let's say you find a realtor that you want to have list your home and you sign that contract? Are there expiration dates on that contract?
Yep, every contract will have an expiration date. Typically we'll do like a 6-month listing because, we don't want to go too less than that because by the time you get newspaper ads and get everything rolling, hopefully we sell it before then. But, we typically like to do 6 months, or if people want to take it out a little longer, we can do that as well. But once you sign a listing contract, we've talked about this with offers before. They're legally binding contracts, and so are the listing contracts. So once you have a listing contract with an agent, they, are your representative, you are their client, and unless somebody breaches contract, it's binding until the end of it. So, and sellers will have, multiple realtors come look at their property and they'll pick the one they like, and, it doesn't always work out. So, a week later, they don't like the agent they have and they start calling other agents, and it's happened to me before. I've gotten those phone calls. And, everyone wants business. You hate to turn business down, but the rules, we cannot try and solicit listings from sellers that are under contract. So, I tell them, I can't help you until your contract expires, or you can, if both parties, you can sign a mutual release agreement and get out of the contract. Otherwise, you're in that contract until it expires.
Like any other contract, you knew the terms when you signed, and you're on the hook until the contract is over.
Exactly.
Now, one thing to maybe you should talk a little bit about, because a lot of people aren't familiar how this works either. Real estate agents work together oftentimes to sell a property. And, how does that work? With let's say you've got a property for sale and Josh is your realtor, but another realtor says, hey, I'd like to help you. I've got a customer who wants to buy that house. How does all that come together? How does that work?
Yep. So a lot of times, other agents will write offers and show houses. So there's a listing side and a selling side. So the agents that list houses for sale, and then on the other side of that, there are buyers. You can just click on, or you can call every listing agent for showings, or you can go under contract with an agent to be your buyer's agent. So it's the same thing as a listing contract, just on the buyer's side. So you're contracting with that agent to show you all the houses you want.
So if it works out and you end up buying it as one realtor helping another, the commission doesn't change, right?
Nope. We share commission, or that was kind of the whole hoopla last year. So now it's actually written into the offer to purchase seller compensation to buyer's agent. Otherwise, we always shared commission. And it was in the listing contract. We advertised it on the MLS, so everybody knew what they were getting. But yeah, nowadays they more or less want to keep it separate. So the listing contract will have what the seller's paying the listing agent, and then either the buyer's agent will pay, or the buyers will pay the buyer's agent, or it'll be clearly written in the offer to purchase how much the seller is paying the buyer's agent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And then when you have a buyer's agent, if you want to see a house in Independence, a house in Blair, and a house in Whitehall, you just contact your agent, and he contacts all the listing agents and sets up all the showings. You want to write an offer, he writes it with you, and then he sends it to the listing agent, and then the agents communicate with each other throughout the whole process. So
another reason having that good relationship with a realtor is so important if you're buying or selling property.
That it is.
Now, if people want to contact you, what's the best way to do that, Josh?
My cell phone is the best way to get a hold of me. You can call or text 715-533-4114, or my email is josh@hregroup.com.
Really a good time to list a property. They're in high demand right now.
Yep, there is not a lot on the market right now. So, and it's coming into the best time of year. Spring is the best time. This is when houses start to come on the market because everyone's getting sick of winter. They're planning their spring and early summer activities and their transitions. So, it's the busiest time of year is spring. Fall is second, but spring is always the busiest.
And don't forget, here we are. It's the first part of February. By the time you get into the process and close, you're probably looking at 60 days anyway.
Yep.
So you're going to be looking at April when it's time to move, and that's a pretty good time to move.
Yep. And, people always seem to want to kind of have it done by June because everyone's got summer plans, plus it's hotter, there's bugs. You don't want to have doors open, moving stuff in and out. So it just always... Spring is always the best, and then they always seem to close by June.
So go list a property now. You've got a property to still talk about here.
Yep, we got a property back in the market here outside of Arcadia. It's on Lewis Valley Road for $525,000. It's a very nice home on almost 6 acres, 5.73 acres, 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. You got a nice detached garage as well, about 2,300 finished square feet. That country living, you're kind of up on a hill with beautiful views and a nice deck. So it's a great piece of property that's back on the market here, looking for a buyer.
This really is a beautiful place, and that view by itself off that deck is pretty incredible.
It's hard to beat. Those country homes around here in the hills, you just can't beat them.
You really can't, and they're hard to find, so
They are.
make sure you check that one out. It's on Lewis Valley Road right outside of Arcadia. Josh, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Who's up next week, do you know?
Jamie, I believe.
All right, well, we'll look forward to that.
Sounds
All
good,
right.
Mark.
Josh Baecker, one of the pros from Hansen Real Estate Group. Check him out at hregroup.com as they bring you open house every Wednesday here on WHTL.
Handling your finances can be very stressful, especially at tax time. But with Everence Tax Service, there is no stress. Lori and her staff can help you with a variety of tasks